Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make improvements in your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon, presented by 17 Hats. Hello and welcome to another episode. Today is going to be our final interview in our summer interview series. I've had such a great time chatting with all of these business owners over the last few months, and this is not going to be the last interview ever, but probably they're going to be a bit more spread out as we get into the normal year. No matter how hard I try, for me, the year starts in September. I think my background as a teacher, I just always feel like back to school is when I have a fresh start. And now that I have a daughter who actually attends school, that has never been truer. Summer is just insane. She has no schedule. I have no schedule. There's parties every day. There's corporate stuff on weekdays and weekends, and it's nuts. So I am very excited for September to come and a regular routine to kind of ensue. And with that, I'll get back into regular solo episodes with the occasional interviews. But these back-to-back interviews have been really great over the summer. I always learn something, and this episode is no different. I learned so much chatting with Brian from Banzi Balloons, and he has done a lot of things in his business that I have not done. I've not even thought of doing, like buying other businesses. He has a lot of full-time employees. He talks about how he was pretty much forced to grow because of a new baby and circumstances at home. He needed to hire help in order to keep up. So it's a great interview. And the thing I love about Brian is that you ask his opinion, he will tell you. So I actually do that. And I ask him, I kind of put him on the spot and ask him what the next steps in my business should be. And he answers honestly. So it is a fun interview. It's a long interview. So save this one for when you have a long delivery, you're in the car for a while. I think we're at about an hour for this conversation. So I didn't want to split it up into 2 episodes. I figure you could just listen to it all. So I'm not cutting anything out. I think it's all good. And I hope you enjoy this conversation with Brian from Banzi Balloons. Welcome to the U Glue Hotline, where we discuss great advice that sticks. Brought to you by Pro Tapes. If you have a question or some great advice to share, click the link in the show notes to call in and leave a voicemail.
Hi, Sarah. My name is Karen Tate from the Party Here Events and Decor. I'm located in Washington State. I'm still fairly new to the party event planning and balloon decor industry. Started my business in January of 2021, but didn't really get super serious about it until about 9 months ago. With the balloon decor starting to pick up even more so than the event planning and party coordinating and such did. So as my business is growing and I've gotten more serious about it, I've started looking for resources and information for how to grow my business and how to make it, to be the best experience it can be for clients and make it super professional and all of that. So I've discovered your contact in the process of doing that, and I've been listening now for several weeks, and I love hearing your show. I love learning from you and all of your guests that you also have online. But I think that I would say that I have like a ton of questions, like so many questions, but I think the one that's top of mind right now as I'm trying to figure out how to grow myself and in my skills is I'm hearing lots and lots and lots about all of the different balloon conventions and trainings and experiences that are out there for all of us to take part in. And I was wondering, is there one or two that you feel would be really ideal for someone who is somewhat new in this in their experience and is trying to grow and expand? And if there are any that maybe I should hold off on until I'm a little bit more advanced. Like I keep hearing things about Balloon Boss Summit and Float, and from what I'm getting, I'm thinking that maybe Balloon Boss Summit might be a good one to attend in November. And then I'm also considering float, but I think I saw something that said that might be more for advanced balloon artists, and I just am not sure that I quite fit the advanced title yet. So wondering which ones you would recommend, because I want to book those sooner rather than later to make sure I get to be included in those experiences and those learnings. And then also from someone who, doesn't have a lot of associates in the industry yet, I'm wondering how do you go about getting to know people who are going to be there so that, you don't just show up and are kind of like, I'm here, but I'm by myself, and I don't really know how to navigate or what I should, be registering for and all of that. Like, definitely trying to build some sort of community. So when I do show up, I do have people that I can reach out to and say, hey, I'm here, let's hang and let's do this together, kind of a thing. So I would definitely love your feedback and your thoughts. Thank you so, so much. And again, love your show. Thank you.
Hey, Karen. All right. I can hear a little bit of your overwhelm and your wheels spinning in your message. So I'm going to be really direct. Here's what you should do. If you can swing it, go to Balloon Boss Summit and then go to Float. There is a reason that you keep hearing about those two events. Summit will be first. It's in November. It is only 100 people. So that is a great place to meet other balloon professionals. My best friends, the people I talk to every single day, are people I met at Summit. I actually went to Float first, and I found it very overwhelming. There were a lot of people there and a lot of talent, and it was a lot. So I would go to Summit first. This year, you can still go. In November, you'll meet some friends. You will learn so much about business and hands-on balloon decor, and it's small enough that you're going to get your questions answered. You said you have so many questions. You can't even ask them all in a voicemail. That is where you can go and talk shop all day and all night. It is incredible. Then in March, go to Float. That is where you are going to sit through class after class after class of mind-blowing balloon ideas. You're going to leave with notebooks full of things that you want to sell, that you want to make, products that you want to try. You'll be able to go through the showroom and meet the vendors. But it will be less overwhelming because you will have your Summit friends there that you have previously met. Now, all in, I would estimate you're probably looking at $5,000 or $6,000 of conventions this year. You are new to balloons. I can't think of any better way to spend your money. I would say if you can swing it, get there. This is an awesome year because both of these conventions are this year. Float is only every other year, but you can hit both of them this year, which is very, very cool. And knowing that you'll be at Float, you'll be able to talk about that at Summit and kind of meet people you could potentially room with that are also going to be there. You'll be able to keep in touch with people. A lot of your overwhelm will be solved in kind of packaging these two events as a 1-2 punch. They are very different. That's why I attend both of them every single time. I find tremendous value in both of these events, even though they're really different. Summit is small and business-based. Float is large and more balloons than you're ever going to see in your life. It will blow your mind and it will get you so excited to go home and utilize the new things that you've learned. So that's my advice. I think people are always trying to pick between the two. My advice is go to both. Set yourself a little sales goal, hit that number, and then go to both of these and invest in your business. That's my very straightforward opinion. I will be at both of them. I know a lot of friends that I have will be at both of them. And we're at both of them every year. Every time they come around, we're there for a reason. Now, there's a lot of other conventions that I actually haven't been to, so I can't speak to them. I can only really reference the ones that have impacted my business and my life, and it's Balloon Boss Summit and it's Float. So I hope that helps. I hope that's a very straightforward answer of what I would do. And both of those still have spots available. Registration is open now, so you can take advantage. You can go and get your ticket, find your roommate, and you'll be all set. Pro Tapes is a leading manufacturer of specialty tape products like Pro Gaff, Pro Artist Tape, and our favorite balloon tape, U-Glue, which helps you create amazing balloon arrangements and decorations in less time. You can save 5% on U-Glue when you buy directly from Having a Party using code BRIGHT at checkout. All right, welcome to this episode, Brian from Banzi Balloons. I'm really excited because you have a business that is nothing like mine in terms of scale, number of employees, systems in place. So I know you've always been so open to sharing at conventions when we've met. So I'm so excited to have you on. Give us a quick introduction. Where are you located? Tell us a bit about your business.
Yeah, well, I mean, can I go ahead and jump in and contradict the very first thing out of your mouth? Is that allowed?
Absolutely.
Because our businesses were very similar as early as 2019. We had very similar, and I know a lot about your business from the podcast. I think we are very similar to where you are 3 years ago, because I started out as a twister. I worked my way up, gradually added decor, and built that, married a balloon twister. And so me and Christina now run things. And so we did just a 2-person show. And then we had the opportunity fall into our lap. We've always been friendly with our competition. And so one of our competitors, our biggest competitor, the biggest balloon company in Indiana, burned himself at both ends, completely burned out, and said, I want to sell this. And he sold it to us for what turned out to be an excellent price. It was more than we'd ever spent on anything before, but he sold it to us. Then we found ourselves coming out of 2020, 2021, coming out of COVID, as everything, you remember those weeks where every month we were doubling sales because everything was coming back very quickly, and it was coming back at a level that we'd never experienced before. And so suddenly we had to build the airplane while we were already flying it, and hire people, and go from being a 2-person, no employee shop to suddenly now we're up to 10 employees. And we've had to build those things and delegate things and move out of our home into a studio space and then expand that studio space. So we're now at 6,000 square feet. And so we've had to do all of that, but it literally, 3 years ago was exactly the same scale and scope and pricing and everything. We're in similar markets as yours. So yeah, that's our quick story is, we had to grow real fast.
And your wife had a baby. You had a child in there.
Yeah. And we had, our daughter was born on April 26th of 2021. So right as everybody decided COVID was over, it was about 6 or 12 months before it was kind of over, but everybody decided it was over and that they should start having events again. And we had a newborn, we had a wife recovering from a C-section, and it turned out our newborn has a genetic condition. So she has something called KCNQ2. So she's developmentally disabled. She's delayed on everything, and she had seizures that are now taken care of by medicine. So we had all of these medical things. And so we were literally having our biggest, craziest month in April, then May, then June, then July, as she's in the hospital, as Christina's recovering. And so I had to run everything and then rush back to the hospital whenever I could. And so the only way that I could possibly do that was to call in every friend I had with a pulse and say, hey, here's how you blow up balloons. And hire people. I'd never hired anybody. So I had to hire people and then train them and then delegate and trust, hey, they're going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Had to trust a sales team, had to trust a production team, had to trust delivery. And you started by hiring some twisters and then friends of friends. And yeah, we ended up with now, the problem with everybody is I don't want to delegate. I can't delegate my sales. I can't delegate the production. I'm the best one at making garlands. I can't delegate the delivery. I want to be the face of it. I didn't have a choice. I just said, here, take this, drive to that address, put the columns where they tell you to put the columns. Tomorrow I'll tell you how to put up a garland. And it worked.
And did it work for the most part? Like, did you have any snafus, or did people kind of rise to the occasion? What did you find?
It worked. Part of it was really lucking out on the sales crew. And I can't say completely luck that, oh man, I found the one amazing person, the one needle in the haystack, because we found our next door neighbor was a bit low on work due to COVID. And so she came in for about 6 months. And I started out literally sitting at my living room table, and I would type an email and show her how I did it. And then she'd type an email and I'd look it over. So she would save things as drafts. And then I would go, yeah, let's send that. Or, hey, let's phrase it this way. And within about 2 weeks, I was so overwhelmed, so busy, and she was so talented that I said, yeah, just send them out. And then about 2 weeks later, she said, hey, can I put in a new labeling system so that we can keep track of things? And then 2 weeks later, she said, hey, I've got a great way to do our invoices. Can we do it this way? And eventually I had a sales manager. She then went back to her regular job, and I freaked out.
Yeah.
We hired a few more folks, and we've had about a 50-50 mix of great hires and really crummy hires. I don't have any magic bullet there, but we've kept the great ones. And so now we've got a really good team to the point where I literally, if you said, hey, Brian, can I order a garland? I don't want to use the website. Can you send an invoice? I don't know how to do it.
Yeah,
I
right.
literally don't do the sales. I delegate everything. There's a few clients where they call me up and I say, oh, hey, so great to talk to you. I'll tell you what, can you give Brandy a call on the business line? She's going to walk you through it. I'm looking forward to seeing you at your event, though. And
Yeah.
I just don't do the sales. If they have a question, they message me on Slack. What would this cost? Hey, they want a 6-foot penguin. What's the cost on that? I don't know, 200, 250. I don't know. But yeah, I literally don't, aside from answering those questions, I don't do the sales. I run the other stuff.
And I assume it's only been good for your business financially.
Yeah. So I was telling you yesterday, I don't ever shy away from talking numbers. When we bought the company in 2019, they were doing 575 of business. In 2020, of course, everything, cratered out.
Yeah.
And then last year we hit 875, even with, raising our prices about 20% to keep up with inflation. We're definitely growing. We're definitely doing things better, doing things stronger, and growing, getting new customers. So yeah, it has definitely been pretty great, and we're shooting for that $1 million target. So that's the big goal for this year. The whole sales team gets a bonus if we hit $1 million in sales.
That's really cool. I want to talk more about your sales team because I feel like even though I don't fully have a system in place to have a production team, I kind of get it more. Like I see how that would work versus a sales team. What are some of the processes you put in place? Is it pricing on your website? Is it consistency? Is it that they're just great at talking to people? Like, what are some of those systems?
So one of them is, I guess, having the consistency. So one thing, I'd always had a price list, and I still have a price list, about 11 pages, I think, total. And it has pictures and description of column, arch, canopy, standard garland, deluxe garland, premier garland, tabletop centerpiece. It's got all of those things and the price next to each of them. And then we have also what happens if you want a garland and you want foils. We add $5 a foot if you want to add foil balloons. We add $7 a foot if you want to add greenery or floral. We've got, I think, 16 giant tubs full of greenery. So they can add those things on. And so all of that would make for one heck of a flow chart. But when we purchased the company, the previous owner had seen the wisdom of having an e-commerce site available. And he did all the homework to figure out that Ecwid, ECWID, was a great platform for that. And we looked into some other ones. We did our homework as well and said, you know what? There's so much customization on that particular platform that you could right now go to the website, go to banzai.events, and you could say, I would like a deluxe garland. And then you could click and it would have all the different options and drop down menus. What colors would you like? Type in your colors or click on the color sheet for reference. Would you like to add foil balloons? What length would you like? Would you like to add custom printing? Things like that. It's got all of those options. And so a salesperson can actually, if they have a question on that, and of course now they've got most of it memorized, but they could go, here, yes, sir, I'd love to do that. You want a deluxe 20-foot garland and you want foil balloons on it? Yeah, that will be. And they can actually figure out what that price is themselves or send them a quote by email. But the other thing is that they are not, well, we call them the sales team. Very little of what they do is actively going out and doing sales. They are primarily customer service when our sales funnel is almost entirely the website.
Okay.
And people that we've worked for coming to us. We're trying to change that, but they are mainly doing the customer service. And what they do is answer the questions, help with the design work, and then send people back to the website to place their order. So our new rule as of about 9 months ago is any private client has to go through the website unless the sales manager makes an exception. So if you want to order balloons for your party, you have to go through the website. If you want to order balloons for your school district, we'll send you an invoice. But otherwise, it all goes through the website. You want to order for your nonprofit, we'll set you up with a nonprofit login so it doesn't do the sales tax. and then you go to our website. So they're able to really rely on that website. So a lot of people say, oh, e-commerce, that's so cool. I tried to set it up and it didn't get me any more orders. Well, if you just say, this is weird, nobody's just stumbling upon my website and ordering columns from the website. Well, no, it's got to be part of your sales ecosystem, part of that strategy.
Yeah.
And for us, it's fully integrated in what we do.
Yeah. I mean, I would say my connection to that is I have grab and go garlands on my website, and very few people like come to the website to buy a grab and go garland. It's mostly people trying to place an order like for tomorrow or on a day that I'm booked, and I reroute them to that option. So it's available. I would say 2 out of 10 people just find it and order, but most of those people are being pushed there by me. And I'm going to go that direction with helium bouquet deliveries as well. I think those are just going to be kind of my low end items, almost like how I'm going to dabble in e-commerce, because I don't want to spend as much time helping someone figure out how to order a helium bouquet as I am having them place an order for like a $500 installation. Like I need to really streamline that. So that's how I'm going to kind of dip my toe in the water for like sort of e-commerce, but mostly just automation.
Yeah, and then having those options that may not have a price attached to them on your e-commerce platform, so that when somebody goes in and says, I want to grab and go, but I want it with foils, and I want it to be 14 feet long, and I want it to be, then you go, absolutely, call us for a quote. I would love to chat with you. And that way you don't have to, develop. We've got something like 900 items on there, including different colors of latex 36-inch. We've got all these different things, and they don't all need to be on there. You can do a hybrid model. But, e-commerce isn't the be-all, end-all. It's not the magic bullet for anything. But because we had it, it has really been cool to build everything around that. And then just empowering and trusting the sales team to be able to send people there and to answer those questions has really just freed me up to do the other stuff.
So how many people are on that team?
Yeah, so we have 3 sales team members now, and one of them is actually expecting a baby. She also does the deliveries on Saturdays. So she works sales plus Saturdays on deliveries. And so we've kind of pulled her off of deliveries just because we can handle it without stressing her out. So essentially we've got 3. And so when it gets to the slow season, we're going to have the manager hopefully dabble in more marketing projects and let everybody else keep handling the customer service. But yeah, we've got 3 there. And then the other key to the operation is having Rocky. So Rocky is our VP, and her full title is probably the longest title in the entire balloon world, which is Vice President of Strategic Planning.
Okay.
Why does a company with 12 people need a VP of a strategic planning? The answer is because I have to go inflate balloons. I have to go put together I don't inflate too much, but I do put together the garland sometimes, or I still do more deliveries than anybody else in the company. I need to work on strategy and this and that. And so I would always end up shifting the systems work. Hey, I should really learn how to do this. Hey, I should work on the website. Hey, I should do that. Those things always get left on the list. And so what Rocky does is works on those all day long, every day. That is her only job, is to improve the company, improve our systems. So she'll do the tech support if, hey, there's something wrong with the website. She'll work on that. Or, hey, we're really having trouble with accuracy on orders. Or, hey, the whiteboard isn't working quite as well. The whiteboard being our production list of what to do. She'll fix those. But for the most part, her job is to develop Monday.com, to develop new systems, to work with Equid, to tie it all together, to design a CRM and get all the data entry done for that. And so she does that all day long, and she is way overqualified for it. She's awesome. She's got a master's degree. She's overqualified for it, but she has some health problems. And so she isn't able to work on a consistent 9-to-5 schedule. Well, I don't need her to. And so she's happy to work for less than she would be working in a go to work sort of environment. She can work from home. If she has a flare up, she can lie on her bed and type there. And so I get an overqualified, awesome employee, and she gets a place that has the flexibility to allow her to work and be fulfilled And then the other thing I do is that I give her a very long leash and a ton of creative freedom. So if she wants to work on the CRM and learn more about this program or that program, then she can do those enrichment programs. And all I do is I tell her she is the black box. I turn the crank, something awesome comes out for the company. And I literally say, what are you doing this week? I'm just going to keep turning the crank. Okay, sounds good. So yeah, that's literally what I do is say, hey, make us something awesome. So sometimes that's working with Asset Lab and setting up our SEO, or sometimes it's working with the sales team and teaching them something new that she's found out. But yeah, that's the other thing, is having somebody designated, so that, because I just would never get to all these projects if it were just me doing them.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the stuff that I think really grows your business, really leads to, like you said, a smooth process, and probably the bottom line, like it brings in more money. But at the end of the day, if it's between updating your website or doing the order that has to be delivered in 3 hours, like you have to do the order that's going to be delivered in 3 hours. So like you said, it's always just left on the list. I love that. I have Nicole, who's kind of my quote unquote digital strategist, but now she's kind of doing her own thing and helping a lot of balloon people, because 17 Hats is my CRM, and it has a lot of layers and a lot of updates, and the freedom of just being like, something glitched, I ruined it, can you just go in and fix it really quick? Like the freedom to have her on hand to be able to just do that is so nice. Hey friends, the next time you need to order supplies for your professional balloon business, head over to Having a Party Wholesale. They carry all of the brands that we love and need to run our profitable balloon businesses, and they are family owned and operated, and they know the business inside and out. They've even offered listeners of the podcast a 5% off coupon code when you use the code BRIGHT at checkout. So next time you need to order, head over to haveinaparty.com. All right. I want to talk more about your company vision. You sent me this document last night. What did you call it?
The DNA document is what we call it.
Because you have a lot of people, so they all kind of have to be on the same page, or at least know what you stand for or what your business goals are, or what is this DNA document? I was looking through it last night. It was blowing my mind. It was so simple, but really thorough. So how do you explain this?
Yeah. So basically, the reason I call it the DNA document is because it isn't our company goals. It isn't, hey, this is who we would like to be. This is what we would like to do. There's no financial, we would like to make $1 million next year. It's DNA because DNA codes for what you are. DNA is just, this is in our DNA. This is who we are. Of course, this is how we're going to do it. And anything that doesn't fit in that DNA is a mutation. Anything that goes against that, you have to think, okay, is this really worth changing who we are? And is this a trade-off or a sacrifice we need to make? So that's the thing. It is not our goals and our ideal, although it is positive things. I didn't write down, hey, we're sloppy, but it's all these positive things. And so it has everything from the general concepts like excellence over perfection. We aim for doing things great. We don't aim for spending twice as long to make things perfect. Growth is important to us. Investment, building a strong company for the long term. So I put in there, it doesn't matter what we make this year. It matters what we make, what we're making 5 years from now. That we don't antagonize the competition, that we play well with others, that we're not going to blame the competition or denigrate them around our clients. We'll form beneficial relationships, and then they call us with their overflow and say, hey, I recommended you guys because I know you do great work. I'm so booked up. I can't do it, but I sent them to you. And we get these calls out of the blue from folks that I've never heard of that are our competition. So things like that are just kind of who we are so we've got 3 sections. One's general, one's management and hiring, and the other one's sales. So we have things like our biggest number 1 rule, and it's the only thing in all caps there, is no mean people. It's our rule number 1 in hiring. We've hired for sales and ended up with 2 different people that we had hired, and they seemed pretty cool at the time. We thought they were a good hire, and they ended up just being mean. They're just angry people. And we just decided, hey, look, let's never do that again. If somebody is mean, we're not hiring them. So now we've got a group of nice people. Another thing is that we try and have flexibility as a default. So our group, our crew is made up of a bunch of really imperfect people. We actually want to give people a job where they can thrive and where they can fit in, even if they don't fit into a traditional workplace, whether that's Rocky, who has health issues that means she can't work a typical 9 to 5, or whether it's one of the production crew who may not have may be really eccentric or just not have the chops, the social skills or the intellectual skills to hold down some other job, but can inflate all day long and can do the basic tasks. They don't have to be able to do everything in the company. They can have a great niche. And then we try and pay everybody a living wage that's more than the market requires. And that gets us loyalty, but it also means that they're able to pay their rent. So I'm not, currently religious, but I grew up and actually studied ministry in college. And so the best I can frame it is that having this job and being an employer is kind of my ministry. So rather than give a bunch of pro bono to a whole bunch of nonprofit organizations, we make sure that the 10 people that work for us are well taken care of, that we pay them more than we need to, and that we can get them enough consistency, because paying somebody, in our area, my area or yours, $17 an hour is decent enough. It's well over minimum wage. But if you only give somebody 12 hours a week, it's not a living wage. So we got to get that consistency along with it. So by taking a bunch of people that may not individually be the best at this or the best at that, and then combining them together, we can be a great team. And then we can try and get overqualified salespeople and overqualified VP, because we give them flexibility as a matter of course, that they can work from home, that they can work odd hours, that they can, as long as they get the job done, we give that flexibility on where they work and what they do. And so that makes up for not being able to pay them $25 an hour.
Yeah. So, I love that. I'm going through this training at the Pumpkin Plan. I love it. I reference it all the time. It's my go-to book. But the first section that you start with is mission, vision, and purpose. And I always find that really challenging, like to come up with a mission or define your why, or I think that's really a challenge, especially in an industry that is not saving lives, right? We're just providing the fun. But I think what you just said is awesome. I mean, you have a very clear why and a defined mission. I mean, you basically named that. I just think that's awesome. I think it's a different take on why you do what you do and how you can give your employees value in the form of money, but also in the form of perks. Benefits don't have to be financial. They can be flexibility. They can be a good place to work. They can be just kind of a good vibe. I think there's a lot of places that pay a lot of money that suck to work at and people don't stay.
Yeah. And there was a question, I think it was on the Float forum. It may have been on Balloon Friends. I'm not sure where it was, but somebody said, well, I know my employee has been doing garlands on the side for their family and friends, and I'm worried that, well, they're quitting soon, so it won't matter, but I'm worried that they're going to start doing this. And I was like, well, I don't know whether that's right or wrong, but my crew are allowed to make garlands and encouraged to make garlands for their family and friends as a perk. We pay for the balloons, they clock out, they make their balloon decor. The sales team, I just tell them, clock out an hour early, and then we'll have Liz make you a garland for an hour. It ends up being just that perk that they can do that. I said, I don't know what to do in your situation other than just let them make the balloons from your stock. It doesn't cost you that much, and it's a great perk. Yeah. Nobody's going to go out on their own and get their own inflator if they can just use yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just another perk that we can offer. I can't say we're a perfect place to work or anything like that, but it's important to me that it's a great place to work. And if I, at the end of the year, have a big chunk of profit and I can take half of that profit and reinvest it in the company and the employees in paying them a little bit more in bonuses, then I'm going to try and do that. And if I don't, because I had a big, huge tax bill and I'm kind of in debt right now, then I go, okay, well, they at least are making $16, $17, $18 an hour. They're still making enough money. Oh, and another one of the things that we have in there is transparency. That's one that's important to me. And again, these aren't a be all end all for every single company. You can do things and be successful and be a good employer and not have half of these. And I can say that because I know good employers that would go, what you do that? But transparency is important to us, that everybody in the company is able to know what anybody else in the company is making. They all can tell what the pay rates are. And if they were to come up, if Joe were to come up to me and say, hey, why am I not making as much as Susie? I could say, well, here, let's work on a plan. Make sure you're better on getting on time. Start taking on deliveries, take on some other tasks, be better at this and that. So everybody knows what everybody else is making or can ask. Everybody can also check in on the health of the company at any time. They can say, how profitable are we? How much money does the company have in the bank? Are we doing better or worse than we were last year? Should we be spending on this inventory or that? They can all find out any of that. I'm a completely open book so that they know how we're doing. And I know companies who are very successful who aren't transparent like that. And that's fine by them. But I feel like it makes it work. And the reason we started that, I always was fine with telling everybody. And we had one of those mean people, one of those two mean people who started working for us, and she did invoices. So she had access to QuickBooks. And so she dug into QuickBooks. She found out what everybody's pay rate was, and she dug in to see how much her manager was making. And she came to us and said, and so then she revealed to the manager, hey, I was looking at this. So I'm thinking I need to get a raise because I'm not, one, she wasn't doing that good of work, but two, I would have told her. So once I found out, I said, Lily, bookkeeper, can you print up everybody's pay rate? And I plastered it on the whiteboard. I taped it to the whiteboard so that everybody could see exactly what everybody was making. And she didn't like that. She fired her about a month later. But yeah, that transparency, it's just important to us.
That's very cool. I like that. I like the idea of, just your personal values aligning with your business. Like, I think that's one of the perks of being a business owner. You can design it so that it feels good to you and aligns with what you think is fair. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I'm going to put you on the spot hardcore here. We did not talk about this.
Okay.
Can we workshop my business? Because you said that like 3 years ago, we were similar. I would not say we're similar right now. Like, you have a lot of employees. I have zero. I have one very part-time employee. What?
2 employees.
What was that?
You have the equivalent of 2 employees because you have one that can do some production and you have an outside bookkeeper.
Yes, that is true. I contract out as much as I can.
And I contract out a lot of things. I was telling you yesterday, we do contract out. We actually just spent a whole bunch of money with Asset Lab, with Loon Suite. We're having them handle all of our advertising and all of our SEO moving forward because we weren't doing great at that. And I knew that spending the time to learn that ourselves was just going to take way too long to get to even a competence level. So we pay the professionals, and my rule of thumb is that it's always going to cost twice as much as my gut says it is going to pay the professionals. I don't know if Jeff, your sponsor, wants me to say that, but it's evidence that I went ahead and paid him that twice as much because I know that they're going to do a darn good job, and I can then focus on the other things that I'm good at, making balloons, selling balloons.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree completely. Like bookkeeping, do I pay a lot? Yes. Do I want to learn how to do it myself? No. And I would definitely screw up and cost myself more in the long run. So like, I'm happy to pay a premium.
We did that in-house and we screwed it up and I sucked at it, and then I delegated it and I didn't have the skills to oversee the delegation. And so she was in a bit over her head. And so now we have a professional do it, and it costs me $600 a month. And I just say, cool, I'm done. I don't have to worry about that. And I'm never going back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, back to your business.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of people like me. I think there's a lot of people that have kind of recently taken the step into full time. They maybe have some help, whether it's production or delivery, or it's maybe like their spouse that just kind of chips in when they can. What do you think the next best step would be? Would you recommend a salesperson? Would you recommend a delivery driver? Like, I know it depends on the business, but from your experience, what was kind of the best logical steps to take to growth?
Well, you're assuming that when I'm listening to your podcast that I'm constantly going, gosh, why doesn't Sarah just blank? And of course,
I wonder.
Of course I am. So no, I didn't think you were going to ask me that. But so the first thing is, where do you want to be? So I've had different people come to my studio, and I show them around the studio. I show them, and there's the big flashy things. We've got the big wall full of balloons, and we've got 500,000 balloons in stock because we overstock and because we go through a lot of volume. They see the frames that we've got these 4-foot tall letter frames on the wall, and they go, oh, it's so pretty. And you've got floral walls and greenery walls. And look at all this tissue paper and confetti and tassels. And it's so pretty and it's overwhelming. And they go, I want to be like this. I want to be like Brian. I want to grow big. And we had a balloon twister come in from out of state, and she swung by when she was visiting. She saw all our stuff and she said, oh, I should get those frames. And I said, no, I'm not going to name who it is, but I said, no. She's in her 60s. Does the balloons part-time and enjoys it. It's her spending money. It's her shopping money. And she's going to do it for maybe another 5 or 10 years. I said, you're never going to pay off that frame. Mm-hmm. You're never, she said, should I get a 2023 then? Or should I get, what should I get frame wise? Don't do any frames unless you expect a volume of $400,000 a year. Don't go buy any of these frames because you got to store them. You got to rent them out a certain number of times. Don't do that. I know this is all sexy and shiny and new and fun, but we do a volume that makes sense. And so we buy the things and we do the things that make sense for that volume of what we want to do. So the question is, and what always runs through my mind when I listen to your podcast is, where do you want to be? Do you want to be, you enjoy the business, the growing, the running things, the strategic vision. You talk all day long about that. So if you say, look, my goal 5 years from now is that I want to be doing $450,000 in revenue. I want to be running a shop. I want to have maybe I don't want to have a retail space, but I want to have 2,000 square feet where I can make enough of the stuff. I want to be the biggest one in my market, and I want to be the best at what I do, which you're probably in your market already, if not the best, then close to the best in terms of the skill. So you say, okay, I want to be the best in my market. I want to be the go-to. I want to have a lot of corporate clients. I want to have a lot of private clients coming in. I want to have a salesperson. I want to have 2 production people, and I want to be running it all and overseeing it. And I want to keep delegating the bookkeeping because nobody wants to do that. And maybe I'll have Balloon Suite handle more of my marketing. If that's where your goal is, and that's just me throwing out from what I've heard in there, if that's what your goal is, what are the steps to get to that goal? That's going to be different than if your goal is, I want to make 200,000. I want to be lean and mean. I want to run the shop myself. I don't want to get out of the garage. I don't want to, I can. And you can make more per job, more per hour, staying lean and mean if that's where you want to be. If you want to stay lean and mean and just be you and one assistant, and you do all the books, you do all the, not the books, you do all the sales, you have them do most of the production, you do the installs. Lean and mean can get you more per hour. Steve Jones and Alexa, they are lean and mean. They probably make way more per hour than I do, but I got 10 people doing the work. Yeah. If you want to stay lean and mean, which is a valid way to do it, then the answer is going to be different than if you want to grow to 500,000. You don't want to grow to 1 million because you don't live in an area where you have necessarily enough people unless you start infringing on the Chicago folks and all the Milwaukee folks. Yeah. No, so what's your strategy?
I definitely think I want something in the middle. Right now, I still feel like, so I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm going on a cruise to Alaska, and I'm pretty stressed out because it is my first time where I don't know what to call her. She's a contractor. She works when she wants, when she's available, but she is doing some pretty big installs by herself because it was clients I couldn't say no to. And I'm pretty stressed out by it. She's been with me for a year. She's so smart. She's so capable. And we all started on those jobs where you get on site and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I got to figure it out. She's totally capable of that. But I would like to get to a point where I could just go away and not be stressed out by that. Like she totally has it covered. But I see myself always being involved. I left a corporate job where I had to manage people and I freaking hated it. So like, I don't want to build my own little prison where I then have to do that again. You know, like the former art teacher in me. It's like, I love coming up with the ideas. I love the hands-on. I love conventions and learning new stuff. So I don't ever see myself just like being an owner. I don't think that's the goal, but I do want to get to a point where it's a bit more manageable. Getting someone to inflate my balloons and then start training her on production has been awesome. I am thinking I want to potentially start someone else doing the sales. Like, I think I'm good at that, but I think there's probably people that are way better.
Hi, this is Jeff from Balloon Suite by Asset Lab. We help balloon decor businesses bring in more sales and leads with a high-tech toolkit that includes your website, your domain, your advertising, your search engine optimization. Our plans start at $50 a month, and we'll even buy out your Wix or Squarespace or GoDaddy subscription to help you get onto a platform that's made for and optimized for your business in balloon decor. Check us out at balloonsuite.com.
Okay, you want something solid. Here's the solid thing. From listening to a bunch of past episodes, she's amazing. You talk about how amazing she is every third episode, right?
I know, she is.
Yeah, she is. Okay, so stop calling her a contractor. Put a W-2 in her hands. Make her an employee, because if you had 80 hours a week working on your business would grow to a much bigger level. I know you've got a bit stashed away so that you're not, financially on a knife's edge. You can afford to invest the time. So invest the time, have her work 30 to 40 hours a week, make her a W-2 employee, and then she can do all the production. And if there's something where you go, oh, I don't know if she knows how to do this yet. Well, perfect. Teach her how to do it. Then watch as she does it. And then you go into the office and you do the sales, you handle all of that. And then when she goes, hey, boss, job's finished. Oh, you've got another 15 hours. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to turn on an Aloft video and you're going to learn how to make a hot air balloon. Or here's what we're going to do. You're going to inflate 2 bouquets for me. And then I am going to run off and I'm going to deliver them to the such and so. Or, hey, help me plug in the info into my CRM. Delegate there. If you have 60 hours a week that you need to do, and she's there 20 hours a week doing the work that you trust her to do, but she's awesome enough that she could do more, we'll just have her do 20 more hours of your 60. And then, you're going to fill your week up with 60 more. Why
I just feel like I don't work that much. I feel like I don't have that much I don't feel like I work 40 hours a week most weeks. So to have someone else do it just seems scary. You just go for it.
You've got enough to, you've got enough to keep you busy, not making balloon wise, but work, the website stuff, the advertising stuff, the learning more things, making bases, painting bases, all that kind of stuff. You've got enough to keep you busy, right?
Yeah.
So if you're too busy, I've got a list of, it's right here. There's my list of, they're all listening. It's audio, but there's my list of all the different things that I would love to do. And it's got long-term things that I haven't ever gotten even close to doing.
Yeah.
Because I don't have enough hours in the day. You have the ability to pay somebody to do a bunch of cool stuff that's going to help our company, that's going to create revenue. Just go ahead and do it. Then you'll be big enough to continue paying. If there's things where you say, I'm going to spend, like our conversation yesterday, if I spend $1, it will get me $1.50. Do those things. If it's things where I spend an hour's worth of pay, $17 or $15 or $20, whatever it is, I'm going to spend an hour's worth of pay to get this job done. And that's going to free up an hour of my work. Is an hour of your work going to make you 25 or 30? Probably. Yeah. It's a no-brainer. Why not go ahead and have her work and trust more to her so that she can start doing the deliveries? If she can learn the deliveries and the setups, and the production, then that frees you up to do the detailed sculpture work, the more complicated deliveries, and the sales. I don't think you need a salesperson. I think you need your production person to be more well-rounded and working more hours. That's what that's my advice if I were to shout back at the radio when I'm listening to the podcast.
I appreciate it. I ask a lot of people that, and I think Kate even listens to these episodes, so she'll hear. I'm coming for you, Kate. I reach out to a lot of people that I really respect, like Chris Potts. I just love the Pottses. I think their business is so cool.
Chris and Marlene taught me everything I know.
Yeah, they're incredible, right? So he had the same thing. He's just like, good help is hard to find. So if you have someone, just like take the leap. But that's really scary. I don't want to mess with her life. I don't want to pull her from a job that she likes into a job that I don't know if I can provide enough. I feel like I'll lose sleep. But you have 10 people, so it could be done. And you're also in the Midwest, so it's not like we're comparing apples and oranges.
Yeah, I mean, Indianapolis is bigger than you're Madison, right?
I'm in between Milwaukee and Madison. Yeah.
So Indianapolis is bigger, but how far is downtown Milwaukee?
Like 50 minutes.
50 minutes, yeah. So just far enough that you can't do it every day, but
right. But I do $500 jobs in Milwaukee. It's not a bad drive.
So yeah, I mean, we have a good market, and I don't have to worry about, if I were in Chicago running my business the way I run my business, and I had to compete with Tommy and Dennis and, Megan, there's all these amazing folks in Chicago that I'd be competing against. There's nobody like nationwide industry leader in Indianapolis to worry about. So I happen to be in a big fish in a small pond, and you're a medium or big fish in a medium pond. You've got some stuff near you, but you can't grow to the same degree because there's not millions of dollars.
Right. Like my immediate town is 7,000 people. So it's different. It's niche-y because it's resorts and it's multi-million-dollar lake homes. So it's a really different market. Like the money's there, but the people aren't, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I think you could do a lot of those. I'll throw out the shout out to Chris Potts, because when I was first starting in decor, I had somebody, I went to a seminar where he was teaching, and I liked his stuff, and he was impressed with my twisting, and I was impressed with his decor. And so he said, "Hey, I've got an employee who's going to be out of work for a while. Would you like to come out to Buffalo and help me out for a while? And I can learn some of your twisting, and you can learn some of the decor. I'll be an open book, and you can help out." And so I went 4 or 5 times all the way out from Indianapolis to Buffalo. And he was a complete open book on money, on pricing, on how he runs things, what he makes, how he makes them. And I learned so much. And I don't think he learned a single twisting things from me. But
you took him for all he was worth.
Not his thing. But I learned so much from Chris. And then I also learned from Marlene what to disregard from Chris. And between the two of them, I was set up to come back to Indianapolis and start my own company. So I always owe them that, which is part of the reason I just pass on any knowledge that I have. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible. I think that's a good tip, even if, my muse is the Pottses, but if someone's listening and they have someone else that they really look up to, the way they run their business, I think that's a really good tip that people haven't really shared. Like, ask to shadow, ask to visit. I bet I could pick up, more in a 2-hour visit to someone else's shop than I could from 3 days of Googling, right? Like, it's just to see how people do things, I think is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, next time you're in Indianapolis, just swing on by.
Be careful. I will show up on your doorstep. Before we end, I just want to talk about your cool shop that I can see behind you. And I have seen tours of your workspace, and you bought like an old building, like an old school or something. Did I make that up?
No. So we actually bought a 100-year-old general store. It was gutted to the studs. It didn't have plumbing, heating. It didn't have duct work. It didn't have the septic tank was wrong. I mean, it had nothing. So it was a complete blank slate. We renovated it so that we could live upstairs and then have a shop downstairs. And so we had a 1,500 square foot, beautiful shop. We loved it, but it was too small. So that's actually what's behind me now. It's not balloons. It's actually all my Lego.
Okay.
So it's now my Lego room. But we eventually just we were filling this room, which has 12-foot ceilings. We would work in the other room, and then we would fill this 12-foot ceiling room with about 600 square feet. We would fill it floor to ceiling, literally garlands, shove the next one in the door. And we'd fill it by Wednesday, and we'd start filling up the living room. We would block the TV, and we knew that if we had to block the TV on Tuesday or Wednesday, then we weren't going to have any time that week to watch TV anyways. So why not? So we filled it up so much, and then we were renting space next door just for storage. And eventually we found a light industrial park that is just ideal for our needs. And we moved into a 4,000 square foot space and eventually upped it to 6,000 square feet. So now we are out of the house, and we have half of our house that we never intended to live in that is now a awesome Lego room and family room for the kid and the whole deal. But yeah, the studio is now 0.8 miles away, I think it is.
Okay.
It is wonderful, and it has so much room. It's got a big work area. It's got a room specifically for helium and foil balloons, and then it's got a couple of offices, a little nursery for the kid. And then we also have a big warehouse area, 1,600 square feet. So it's actually bigger than the entire floor in here. And so now we can make all of our garlands, make our 20 columns, make our arches, put them all in there. And then at the end of the week, we've filled it all up. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just load it up into the ProMaster vans and drive it around town. So yeah, 6,000 square feet is pretty good for us. I don't see us growing beyond that anytime soon. But it was really nice to move into that space and then to expand it. We needed just a little more space. So we've got an 8,000 square foot building, and we have somebody sublets a little bit of it.
Okay. I'm going to be nosy. Do you own either of those buildings?
So yeah, we own our house.
Yes.
So we own the house. No, the studio we rent. So, which I'd love to own. But at a certain point, you go, okay, 6,000 square feet. What am I going to be spending on that even for industrial type space? If I were to build it, $700,000, $800,000, and you go, is it worth working for the next 15 years with all of our profits going into a building, and then whenever we retire, we sell the building and that's our retirement? Is that the model that we want to do, paying a whole bunch of interest, or do we want to end up paying, $40,000 a year in rent, or more than that? So, gosh, I love owning, but at this point, renting, when we get a pretty good deal, we pay, I think it's 10 per square foot. So essentially, we were paying $3,000 for 4,000 square feet. So now it's half again that. But that's a really good deal. Even in Indiana, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
The folks in Chicago are drooling over that, going, "Oh my goodness, I had to." So we understand it's a good deal.
For sure.
It doesn't have a lot of street appeal, but it's a really good deal in terms of rental. So we're going to probably be there for quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, my pipe dream is I got really interested in investing in property, but I'm like, do I really want like a Airbnb? Do I want tenants? Like, I don't think so. So now my new kind of dream is to buy a building that could have my balloons and other tenants that are paying the mortgage on the building. I don't know. I think there's a lot of people trying to get rich from balloons. I think that's really hard to do. And I think there have to be additional investments. Either you're investing in some sort of retirement fund or real estate, but I don't want to be working when I'm 80, but you won't have to, I guess. Your employees will. Is that your plan?
So my plan is to retire someday, which is something that you don't see twisters retiring. Decorators, you sometimes see retiring, but my goal is 15 to 20 more years and then retire. There was a float class, a master class with Jill Shortreed, and she was talking about what's your exit strategy, and she said, there's a couple ways you can do it. 3 ways, I guess. One way is you say, all right, I'm done. Here's all my shelves full of balloons. Let's find somebody. And normally that's me, because I've been buying everybody's businesses lately. I've got a reputation. At this point, everybody and their brother, if somebody says, hey, I'm selling my business, somebody tags me in it. So I've been buying everybody's business from all over the place. But if somebody goes out of business, they can say, here, I'm going to sell all my stuff. I'm going to sell it at a loss because it's used and because there's Hannah Montana foils that I'm never going to sell. We've got a lot of them left. They say, I'm going to sell it. I'm going to get 70 cents on the dollar or 50 cents on the dollar. but I've made a bunch of money for 20 years. That's good enough. Out it goes, shut the doors, lock the room up and give it back to the landlord. So that works. And that can work for a small company or a large company.
You're not going to retire on that.
No, but hopefully you've put aside some money for retirement. The second option is that you get it structured in such a way that somebody can be a turnkey operation, buy your business for $100,000, $150,000, whatever, or $60,000. Buy the business. But to do that, how many of your balloon friends in your area that already live there are able to afford or raise $100,000 to buy your business when, even with great client lists and great, established clients and all the other things like, the crew knowing what they're doing, having procedures, the website, even with all of that, how many people are actually able to hop in and do that?
Yeah.
That already have the skills. It's going to have to be completely turnkey, and you're going to have to work with them for about a year to say, here, let me hand this off so that you can make 100,000. Or you could ignore them and go make $100,000 by working your butt off that year and then sell all your crap off for 70 cents on the dollar.
Right.
The third option is that you get your procedures going really well and you're the owner and you run it, but you get a really good overpaid general manager. You call up Lisa McIntyre and you call up somebody and you say, hey, move to Wisconsin, be the general manager, work for me. And when they quit, then you're stuck at 75 years old going, oh crap, what am I going to do? Well, that's a tough call as well. But that's the route that we'll take is, well, I guess I'll put in, even when I'm 65, or even when I'm 70, I'll go ahead and put in the 5 hours a week to swing by, say hi, check on how everything's going, and slightly actively manage it, but still get those dividend checks.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the route that we'll probably take at some point, unless we find ourselves with a great buyer, because getting $100,000 a year in dividends is better than selling the business once for $100,000 a year. Why would I do that?
Right.
So,
right. That's what everyone's like, oh, I'll sell my business. I'm like, my business would never sell for more than like $20,000. Like it just wouldn't. Like there's no way where I am and what, the size of it. And so I feel like I want to take all my money now and invest in real estate so that I have something when I go out of business.
Invest in here's my thought. We're investing our money. Like one of the things on the DNA is, doesn't matter what we're making now. It matters what we're making 5 years from now. Invest in the business, get more stock of balloons, get more procedures, get a better website, get better SEO, really hit the top on your business so that you can make a bunch of money making balloons. Taking that money out and saying, well, I could invest that in getting more of these or getting a greenery wall or getting a better website, but I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it in real estate and I'm going to let that slowly build. If you do it right and you know what you're talking about, and it seems like you do, then you can get a 20 or 30% year over year return on your business, or a 7, 8, 10% return on some other passive out of your hands stock investment. Why not invest it in the person and the company that you know the most, that you know can provide you profit, that you're passionate about? Put the money in that and still feed your IRA.
Absolutely.
That's my thought. I don't want to try and do some side thing. It's like getting a cotton candy machine. Yeah, I could get a cotton candy machine and I could rent out the cotton candy machine and I could make some money. That's ancillary to what I need. That's not my focus. Getting real estate, that's fine. If you want to get real estate for your business, have your business in there. Forget the subtenants, get the size of building that you need. And then when you retire, then you've got a downtown building that you can sell for $500,000 and make it back. That's going to get you a better deal, in my opinion. But I've never been out there. I don't know.
You'll have to come visit.
Sounds good. Well, next time I'm doing my Milwaukee gig.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, this was great. I feel like I could keep talking to you, and I'm sure I will. You'll be at Float?
I will.
Very cool. And Brian, I have to ask you a very candid question. Why don't you teach?
Why don't I teach? I applied this year. I applied to teach, and I was going to teach business because that's where I feel I've got the most experience. Yeah. And somebody else also applied to teach business. They picked them, and business classes, people, I go to them, you go to them.
I love them.
But not everybody goes to them. And so it's harder to fill those seats. And if you are a company, if you're a sponsor saying, hey, we want to plug Tough Tex Balloons, and somebody says, hey, I want to teach a business class.
Yeah, it's hard.
Are you going to show them how to use more Tough Tex Balloons? No, but I'll tell them how great they are.
Yeah.
So they didn't pick me. And looking back, I go, gosh, why didn't I submit a couple of how to make a sculpture class, how to use twisting and decor, and try and what I should have done is applied to teach the classes that I thought had a better chance of getting picked. Instead, applied for was the couple of classes that I thought I could teach and that people needed to hear the most.
Well, I'm putting it out in the universe.
Picked, unfortunately.
Anyone looking for an instructor, I just think you have so much knowledge to share. I will be picking your brain even more at Float.
Sounds great.
Over a drink of your choice. That will be your
Sounds
payment.
Good. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Let's wrap this one up. I feel like we need to do a follow-up. There's so much more we could talk about, but I really appreciate your time. And I have some next steps to think over in my business, certainly.
Sounds good.
All right. Talk to you later.
Thanks for listening. As usual, I tried to keep it bright and light. Our presenting sponsor is 17 Hats, the CRM I use to cut the chaos and manage my entire balloon business. From the lead capture form on my website to workflows and email templates, invoicing and grab-and-go garland automated bookings, it's all powered by 17 Hats, the best customer relationship management system for balloon businesses. There's even a 50% off coupon code waiting for you in the show notes wherever you're listening. I'll see you next week in another episode.